Hi guys, and welcome to Katie's Insight, where I give my insight on all kinds of things, including news, business, finance, current events, entertainment, and right now, most importantly, stimulus. And we're going to continue on the stimulus train because, as you guys know, I took like over a week off and lots of stuff. It's weird. Lots of stuff has happened and then nothing has happened, but welcome to the world of stimulus at this point. Now, guys, I want to let you know, if you have not seen it yet, I have a video that I just put up earlier, so make sure and go check it out, because I know you guys haven't seen me in a little bit, and I go through my story of what's happened with NAA worldwide. I can open up a little bit more, so make sure and check that out. It says the truth about it. So I go in details about what's going on there. As I told you guys, I will keep you up to date as I am able to. And then also we have really big news from Pelosi, and we will go over all of that. But before we do, guys, I just want to remind you that I'm giving away a $100 gift card. And it's so simple. This is all you have to do to be eligible. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't, hit notifications if you haven't yet, so you can be notified daily what's coming on the pipeline. Leave a comment and share this content. Also, guys, new rules. The more comments you leave, the more chances you have to win. Same with sharing. So share this content, leave as many comments as you can. Good luck. I will have more information at the end about how we do this, but I will pick winners, and that should be on Monday. So good luck, guys, and please do this for every video you see. It helps me grow the channel, and the more I can grow the channel, the more giveaways I can do, just like this one. Very, very excited. So also, guys, I'm on Facebook. Go add me, Katie's Insight. Like the page, join the group, Katie's Corner, which is getting changed to Katie's Insight. You can go in there, ask all the stimulus questions you want. I'm in there. We have awesome people in there, and we are all ready to help you. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and let's dive into this situation. So where are we at? Well, we've had some very, very good news, and we've had some very frustrating news, which I'm going to cover. So if you guys remember where I left off last time, I'm sure you guys are looking at other news because, of course, LA Late, in my opinion, LA Late is king. And the two big ones aside from LA Late, and by the way, I'm so proud of them. I say that like, I hope that doesn't sound demeaning. I mean it like, you know, we kind of came up alongside of each other. And even though I'm in the position I'm in now, as you guys know, watching them explode, watching their growth, I could not be more happy for them. I'm such a Purple Power fan. Sound up in the comments if you like Purple Power, hashtag Purple Power. Let's all help each other out. Leave me some purple hearts. Show your love for LA Late. And then of course there's Meet Kevin. I love Kevin. I'm a big Kevin fan. Who's the other one? Clear Value. I haven't done much Clear Value lately, but Clear Value's good. They're good if you want somebody who's like super calm and is just going to give you direct info. That's not me. So my personality, I'm going to be more drawn to somebody like, you know, Meet Kevin, who's more high energy. Or I'm going to be drawn to LA Late, who's just real fun. They're almost like, theatrical isn't the word, but he gets real like giggly and snarky, and I love it. And I mean, like, you know, he just gets really humorous, and he's a very entertaining person. So, and they always have inside information nobody else has. They're fantastic. So those are just the people I like. But where are we at with stimulus? So, if you guys remember, Mitch McConnell was trying to pass, and company, they were going to get through this $500 billion skinny bill, and they were trying to pass things for the PPP, which I will go into in videos coming up. And of course, it's been rejected. Anything they try at this point, at every turn, keeps getting kicked back, rejected, y'all. And I know you guys know this. It's a mess. We can't get anybody to agree. It's insane to me that even like the Senate we can't agree on anything. The Senate can't not get its stuff together. And the Democrats are somewhat unified, but they want what they want, and they're not going to back down. And then you have Trump in the middle. The Republicans don't seem to want to do much of anything to help anybody. Of course, as you know, it's still a giant mess. But the good news is Pelosi said, she's like, we're right there for stimulus. We're right here. It's not signed yet. So this is good news. Now, are we going to get stimulus before the election? I don't know. I really would like to think so. I'm going to tell you that I think there might be too many politics involved. I've been saying it for a while. I'm concerned the Democrats are not going to allow it to happen until after the election because they don't want to do anything that could look like they're giving Trump a win, right? So I doubt that's going to happen. I'm still mad at Pelosi when she said, I'm not going to help people on unemployment or with stimulus checks or with rent issues or student loans because we're not going to piecemeal a deal. And then she piecemealed for the post office and to do the stopgap in the government so she and her friends could get paid. I'll probably never not be mad at that blowout for doing all of that. And then course, as you guys know, the Republicans are just outwardly evil. They don't care if children starve, and they have, more or less said so. Not literally. I don't want to be like the mainstream news and just make things up and act like it's literal and just completely take things out of context, but that's how that goes. So where are we at right now with Pelosi? She said we are right there. And apparently the majority of the major issues that they have had, they are working out. Now, the rumor is that Steven Mnuchin has come up. They were at 1.7, 1.8 trillion, and they're even coming up from there. And right now where they're at is they're just trying to get a lot of the wording down to actually piece this together. Because as we know, Democrats say we need more money, and the Republicans / the White House says we're not going to let you just bail out your mismanaged states. I can see both sides of this because Pelosi has been saying we need even more money because we haven't had a bill since March. Nothing's happened since like March or April. And now because we waited so long, we need even more money. I can get that. However, I can also understand the Republicans and Trump saying we don't want to just bail you out of your poorly run states. Like, it's become a meme at this point. It's a trend that everyone is fleeing California. California is a horrific place to live. The taxes are too high. The school systems are horrible. Everybody is on welfare. And I'm not saying that as a disrespect to anybody who's on welfare. I mean, like, it is really, really difficult, if not impossible, to get a job. Like, because of the way they have restrictions, it's almost like they want people on welfare. And most people who are on welfare, and I've been on welfare before, you don't want to be on welfare. So I get it. I totally understand. The whole state, keeps just engulfed in flames because their environmental conservation is not working. And this is coming from somebody who is an environmental conservationist. I love the environment. I love trees. I think I told y'all when I was 8 years old, I wrote Al Gore saying we need to save our trees because I love forests. I love wildlife. So, I'm a huge believer of that. But what they're doing is actually killing wildlife and hurting people and hurting how many animals and insects and, making the atmosphere even more difficult to breathe in than it already was there. Not to mention the explosion of the homeless population. I think that is, to me, one of the biggest failures I've seen of the Democrats is them to not consistently call out Pelosi for allowing so many people to go and be homeless in her state. It's inhumane. They act like it's compassionate because people have a right to be homeless. No, they should have a right to have a home. I don't know why we allow this in this country. In fact, I'll do a video on this at some point, but there are several studies that have come out that state it's actually more cost effective and better for cities to house in some form people who are homeless and to help them in that situation rather than to just let them stay on the street. It causes so many issues and so many problems. And of course, it's not like we're in a pandemic or anything. Yeah, of course, because when you're on the street, when you're living on the street, you cannot be super hygienic. It's, I was scared over the last couple years of hearing about the homeless population and what's going on because me and other people, we've been saying this is just ripe for some type of horrible outbreak, and thus it's happening this year. Now, some other updates. Apparently, so Friday was the biggest jump in recorded cases across the US. So apparently the third wave right now, what we are hearing is hitting. And I think we all kind of knew something was coming, especially because the weather is changing and cold and flu season is going to be real interesting and really scary. So I am not looking forward to this for several reasons. And for myself personally, if I have any health issues, and this has happened to me a couple times where I had to go to the ER recently. Like I said, I've had some health troubles. I'm okay. I'm fine. In fact, it was we know what's going on. So it's just something I have to manage. But when I went back there for emergencies, I had to go alone, and most doctors do not understand my conditions, and that can be very dangerous if I don't have an advocate back there with me because people try to treat me or they don't listen to me or they don't believe me or, whatever. And it doesn't happen all the time. But it can happen where a doctor thinks they know my body better, but they have no idea what's going on with me. So, and it can be really, really bad not having an advocate back there to be able to help me who can speak for me when I can't speak and that sort of thing. So I am increasingly concerned about what's coming up, not just for people who are healthy, but also for our people like me who are chronically ill, who are disabled, because this just puts vulnerable people in an even more vulnerable position. So my thoughts and prayers are with everybody. Now, let's go ahead and let's get into where we are at. We had Mark Meadows speak up, and Mark Meadows had really good things to say. And I am pretty excited at where we are at with what Mark Meadows has to say. Y'all know how I do. I have receipts for days. So let's go ahead and look this up. And so I got this from NJ.com. This is the second stimulus check update. Top Trump aide hopes to get a deal done in 48 hours. Here's the latest. Now, let me kind of go over this with you guys. We keep getting deadlines for the stimulus. Now, this was posted October 21st, so this is a couple days old, right? But I did want to go over this because it seems like everybody's coming together to try to get something done. They've had 2 deadlines over the last week, and Friday was a deadline, and it came and went. So nothing is yet being done. We'll see what happens with the election. I'll give my assessment on that towards the end on what's going to happen with stimulus there. But he was, so Mark Meadows, who's the chief of staff, was with Maria Bartiromo in an interview. And I want to go over what's been said and also show some other sides of what's going on. So here we go. So White House chief of staff Mark Meadows said Wednesday that he hoped for a deal on the new virus stimulus bill this week. I am optimistic, Meadows said on the Fox Business Network. We do share one goal, and that is hopefully to get some kind of deal in the next 48 hours or so. I can tell you that the negotiations have entered a new phase, which is more on the technical side of trying to get the language right if we can agree upon the numbers. He said, we're still apart, still a number of issues to work on, but the last 24 hours have moved the ball down the field, which is what we had been hearing. But it's hard because I see a lot of different, I see a lot of back and forth on this topic, to be honest, in the headlines and stuff. But when you hear Steve Mnuchin, Pelosi, and Meadows come out with this, I think that signals this is a good thing. There's some good news. Now it says House Speaker Nancy Pelosi from California offered a similar rosy assessment on MSNBC a few hours later. She met with Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin later in the day. I think we have a prospect for an agreement, Pelosi said on MSNBC. None of it is insurmountable if you want to make a decision. And as I say, and he says to me and I say to him, why would I even be talking to you if we didn't think we could and need to have a decision, an agreement? She's talking about with Steve Mnuchin. She's like, okay, we are in the process of making this agreement. It is working. Why would we even be talking if we didn't think this could happen? Which we know this past summer and this fall, they all stopped talking completely for like a couple months. It was at a complete ridiculous standstill. So then it says her spokesman, Drew Hamill, reported more progress after the meeting with Mnuchin, and this is really good. The Speaker and Secretary Mnuchin spoke today at 2:30 for 48 minutes. Today's conversation brings us closer to being able to put pen to paper to write legislation. With the exchange of legislative language, we are better prepared to reach compromise on several priorities. Differences continue to be narrowed on health priorities, including language providing a national strategic testing and contact tracing plan. But more work needs to be done to ensure that schools are the safest places in America for children to learn. The Speaker and Secretary plan to speak again tomorrow, hopefully with further guidance for committee chairs as they work to resolve open questions. So there you go. And again, this is all good news. And I'm happy that we finally have some good news to report. So it says the wild card remains Senate Republicans, who have refused to consider any legislation close to the $2.2 trillion measure passed by the House or the $1.8 trillion offered by the White House. Meadows met with GOP senators over lunch on Wednesday. We don't have a Pelosi-Mnuchin deal yet, Meadows told reporters on Capitol Hill. Once we get a deal there, hopefully we'll be able to discuss the merits with our Senate colleagues. The Senate on Wednesday failed to pass a scaled-down $500 billion bill that would provide aid to small businesses, $300 a week in extra unemployment insurance payments, and the ability to deduct some charitable donations while taking the standard income tax deductions. It would have also increased taxpayer support for religious and other private schools and protected businesses and nonprofit institutions, such as colleges, from lawsuits if employees or customers get ill from the virus. The measure did not include another round of stimulus checks, nor any aid for state and local governments to help pay the salaries of police officers, firefighters, healthcare workers, teachers, and the other public employees. McConnell blasted Democrats on the Senate floor for demanding wheelbarrows of cash out of any proportion to the virus needs for state and city governments that Democrats have mismanaged for decades. There's a discrepancy here on the Republican side and the White House side that I'm going to talk about, and I want to go off a little bit on, we're going to get into in a minute. I know a lot of you guys think I'm a closet Republican, but I like to call things out when it's due. Democrats have countered McConnell's arguments by pointing to studies that show Republican-run states, such as his home state of Kentucky, get far more in federal dollars than their taxpayers contribute to Washington. New Jersey gets only 90 cents for every dollar its taxpayers shell out to the federal government. For the White House, protections against lawsuits was a non-negotiable demand, and Meadows said Pelosi knows that. She's known for 90 days that liability protection would be part of any deal, he said. As part of any discussion of liability, House Democrats have insisted that there be stringent occupational safety and health administration standards for businesses to follow to protect workers and customers. They're sending essential workers to work, Pelosi said. If they don't go, they can't get unemployment insurance. They could be in a dangerous situation, have no recourse, if the strong OSHA standards are not kept. Meadows said that aid to state and local governments remained the biggest stumbling block. He said the actual loss in revenue due to the pandemic was $250 billion to $275 billion, while the Democrats wanted about twice that amount. The bipartisan National Governors Association had asked for $500 billion just for state governments. Part of the aid that was needed to make reopening schools safer for teachers and students, Pelosi said. The safety of our schools and well-being of our schools depends not only on allocation for virus, but it also depends on how we support state and local governments, where most of the money for education comes from, Pelosi said. So that affects almost just about everything, health, transportation, and the rest that make our lives function. The Democratic bill also included another round of $1,200 stimulus payments, $600 a week in extra unemployment insurance payments, more money for the U.S. Postal Service to help handle an expected unprecedented amount of absentee ballots, a one-year suspension of the Republican tax law's $10,000 cap on deducting state and local taxes, and $75 billion for a national plan to combat the pandemic, including expanded testing and contact tracing. In a Siena College, New York Times poll released on Tuesday, 72% of likely voters backed a $2 trillion stimulus package, including another round of checks and aid to state and local governments, with only 21% opposition. The poll found 56% of Republicans backed a larger bill. You guys know me, I like to hear directly from people what is going on, so now I want to play a clip. This is the interview. It's not super long. It's from Maria Bartiromo with Mark Meadows, and then we're going to discuss, and I'm going to show you guys this discrepancy I'm talking about, because I think I'm catching the White House and Republicans in lies. I don't like that. Let's take a look.
Joining me right now is the White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows. Mark, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for being here. You just heard Nancy Pelosi. Does she really want to get a deal done or not, Mark?
Well, you know, it's interesting. She says that this is all about respecting the science. It's really more about her political agenda, Maria. But I am optimistic. We do share one goal, and that is hopefully to get some kind of deal in the next 48 hours or so. From here, I'll actually leave to go have discussions with some of our Senate colleagues on the Republican side, as well as some of her staff members as it relates to insurance provisions and how to best make sure that those that have lost insurance during this China virus pandemic, that we can actually provide help. The president's been very clear. He wants to make sure that we provide the necessary funds for those Americans that are hurting during this unprecedented time. While there is truly good news on the economic front, part of this stimulus package would actually be to address some of the manufacturing onshoring needs as well. So while we have not seen a lot of movement from Speaker Pelosi, we've seen more movement from the rank and file Democrats in the House. I can tell you that the negotiations have entered a new phase, which is more on the technical side of trying to get the language right if we can agree upon the numbers. We're still apart, still a number of issues to work on, but the last 24 hours have moved the ball down the field.
What is getting in the way or standing in the way of a deal? Because the truth is this insurance that you just mentioned. Lindsey Graham said that Nancy Pelosi did not want to agree to liability insurance, whereas somebody goes to a restaurant, they get sick, they want to sue the restaurant. that liability insurance protects the restaurant from that. Has she now agreed that there should be liability insurance? Is that what you just said?
Well, she knows, she's known for 90 days that liability protection would be part of any deal. To have a discussion over the last several months without really her privately acknowledging that those liability protections were going to be part of any deal would just have been disingenuous. No, what I'm talking about there is really on those that have lost their job and lost insurance along with it. How do we best make sure that they have the coverage they need? And how do we actually subsidize that? But that's not the biggest issue that's out there. The biggest issue remains state and local assistance. We show that the actual numbers in terms of revenue loss for state and local governments to be in the $250 to $275 billion range. She's about twice that number, closer to $500 billion. That remains a stumbling block. But for us, it's more about trying to make sure we get some of the policies in place that if we can agree upon a number for the policy doesn't stand in the way. So I'll give you a prime example. If we can add additional monies in terms of transportation, onshoring, I think there's a deal here to be made.
Okay, so you want to add additional money so that you incentivize companies to bring back their manufacturing lines to America.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it's all. We've had a dependence on China that is disproportionate to the manufacturing needs here in America. And so if we can do critical supply chains and actually offer financial tax incentives for companies to invest again here in America, we're going to do that.
Okay, guys, it's notes. So let's go ahead and get out my notes and go into this. So this was on the interview. So it says for Maria, you just heard Nancy Pelosi. Does she really want to get a deal done or not? And this is what Mark Meadows says. It's interesting. She says it's all about respecting the science. It's about her political agenda. I'm optimistic. We do share one goal, hopefully to get some kind of deal in the next 48 hours or so. From here, I'll leave to go have discussions with Senate colleagues on Republican sides and some of her staff members as it relates to insurance provisions and how to best make sure those that have lost insurance can help get it and we can provide it. President has been very clear. He wants us to make sure we provide necessary funds to those hurting. Truly good news on the economic front. Part of the stimulus package would be to address manufacturing anchoring needs. While we have not seen a lot of movement from Pelosi, we see more movement from rank-and-file Democrats in the House. Negotiations have entered a new phase on technical sides of getting language right, if we can agree on the numbers. It says, we are still far apart on a number of issues to work on, but the last 24 hours have moved the ball down the field. And that's the best part when he says the last 24 hours. So we've had lots of movement this week, and it looks like we have had some really good movement over 24-hour period, and then several times this past week in stimulus. So this is good news. I don't care who we are. That's good news. Then, this is Maria asks, what is standing in the way of a deal? Lindsey Graham said of insurance, Pelosi doesn't want to agree to liability insurance. So if someone goes to a restaurant and gets sick, they can't be sued. Has she agreed to the liability insurance? And this is what he says. And by the way, liability insurance, this is liability protections for businesses, so they can't be sued if somebody came in, got sick, got the virus. And this is what he says. He says, she knows liability protection would be part of any deal and to have a discussion over the last several months. And she privately acknowledged that she knows and it has been a part of the deal. Anything else is disingenuous. Now, for those that lost their jobs and insurance along with it, how do we best make sure they have the coverage they need? And how do we subsidize that? But the biggest issue remains is state and local assistance. And by the way, this is what I'm going to get into in just a second. State and local assistance and actual numbers for revenue loss to be in 250 to 275 billion range. So what that means is they're asking for between 250 to 275 billion for states and local to run. I'm irritated, and I'll show you why. She's about twice that number, closer to 500 billion. That remains a block. For us, it's about making sure the policies are in place and that if we agree on a number, that policy doesn't stand in the way. Example, if we can add additional monies for transportation and anchoring, then there is a deal to be made. So why is this irritating? So first of all, that number has significantly risen I remember hearing from both Mnuchin and Mark Meadows over the last several weeks, because you guys know I've studied this stuff like a hawk, that they were talking about the states only need 150 billion, if that. And they were saying we gave them 150 billion last time around the CARES Act. A lot of the states have barely even touched that money. They don't really need it, and we're still willing to throw it in there. They're like, for our calculations, that's all we need. Yet we've heard Pelosi go on and on about we need 800, 900 billion, which is crazy. That's almost 1 trillion for state and local. And now all of a sudden, both sides are changing their numbers. And we've heard Pelosi scream, this is the number we need, and this is the science to back it up. This is what all the academics say, which, by the way, she never actually releases. Sound off in the comments if you've seen it. I have never seen her release any of that information. But what's bothering me about this is it's not Pelosi's number coming down. They were at about 800 to 900 billion down to 500 billion, because what she has said repeatedly is they are not going to back down on what they need, what the Democrats need for their stimulus bill. She said, I can shorten the time frames. And if she's trying to shorten a time frame, I could understand the 500 billion. What I don't understand is suddenly 100 to 150 billion, which is way too generous, is now 250 to 275 billion range. Why did that all of a sudden change? And my question is, and I think this could be two things. Let's explore, both avenues from this. Is it that we were lied to and the states actually do need more money, but the Republicans are just really wanting to hold out because they're pieces of crap that don't care about us? The Democrats are too. They're all pieces of crap. If you want to get mad at me because I'm trying to diss your party. I'm dissing all sides. It's frustrating when every side is trying to make Trump look like the horrible, terrible, bad guy, and he's the only one stepping up and looking like he's trying to help us. I'm not saying he's well-intended. I'm just saying he's giving the appearance of and the only one doing the actions with the executive orders. So it's just always interesting to me how much both sides absolutely hate Trump, and yet he's the only one really trying to help from what I can see. So, anyways, so so I look at this and I'm like, so were we lied to? Because they just don't want to pony up more money, and let's be honest, they want to make the Democrats look bad? Is that what this is? Or is it over the weeks of them saying that? They've been saying this since June, July, August, September, but we're now almost at the end of October. Remember, we're almost into November, y'all. Like, what happened to this year? This is this is just crazy looking at the timeline of stuff. But is it that they acknowledge that because so much time has gone on, the states actually need more money? And furthermore, let's see, I think the last one was passed in March, right? So we have April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. I'm assuming something wouldn't go through. If they put something together now, it might not go through until November, or it might not take effect. 8 months. And are we going to think that they're going to give us any more stimulus? It's really scary. We're hearing reports that Europe is starting to lock down, that things are starting to get bad again places. By the way, I don't want to go down a blank theory lane. I don't want to say too many things because I don't want to upset YouTube, but real interesting that during the debate in this last week, we have a lot of the Democrats and a lot of the people in government talking about the dark winter. All I'm going to say is go down that rabbit hole. It's real interesting. Dark winter. See what has been done in the past with that. By the way, I'm not saying that's legitimate, true. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's real interesting that suddenly they're all talking about the dark winter, and now we're hearing that we're entering, phase 3 of the virus outbreak. It's interesting, and by interesting, concerning, coming from somebody who knows that the government doesn't really care about our health on any side. Funny enough, again, Trump is the only one that looks like he's stepping up to help by lowering prices on medication, by, trying to reform the Affordable Care Act. And I can hear people right now, let me tell you right now, as somebody who has tried to be on the Affordable Care Act, it's not affordable. And for people like me, it did not help me. And it almost will bankrupt you with how much the payments are. I remember a friend of mine, the payment started out for her and her family $200 a month, shot up to $800, and then they were forced to pay it. Guys, it's basically forced privatized insurance. From my experience, the experience of other people. And I say that as somebody who wants universal health care. I want a form of universal health care because I've lived in countries that have it. My goodness, if I was going to have a family, France is the place to do it because of how well they treat their citizens when it comes to being family oriented and having health care that is, next to nothing. It's crazy to them that in this country you can go bankrupt from health issues. And then of course the FDA and that the other government agencies allow all these crazy things to enter our body that probably shouldn't be there. So I just wanted to go ahead and bring that up because the health insurance thing really, really bothers me. But I'm looking at, I'm just looking at this and I'm saying, okay, so that 275 billion, Pelosi has been saying their numbers are so much larger because they've had to wait so many months, right? They've had to wait so many months for this situation. So it's going to be more money simply because they've had to wait longer. I don't think they probably need as much money as they're saying, but it makes sense. But now all of a sudden, they've changed their tune, and instead of 150 billion is generous, now it's 250 to 275 billion. And I do wonder if that's because they recognize in these talks with Pelosi to give, I know you guys, think I rail on Pelosi a lot, and I do. She irritates me, but let's give some credit where it's due. Maybe there's kind of seeing that side of it, or maybe this is just the point they've now agreed on, trying to come up to meet Pelosi. Either way, we'll have to see, but that kind of irked me because I was like, they were so big on the 100 to 150 billion range. Have they explained that part yet? And maybe they haven't. Maybe they're just not there in terms of the negotiations to come out and really explain that info, but makes me curious. That's all I'm going to say. Makes me curious. So yeah, so let's go ahead. And by the way, we're going to end, it's almost done. So I'm going to go over that part with you because I thought that was interesting. So the last part here, it says, you want to add additional money. This is Maria Baratomo saying, you want to add additional money so companies can bring back manufacturing to America. He says, yes, we have a dependency on China that is disproportionate to the manufacturing needs to America. If we can do critical supply chains and offer financial tax incentives to be here in America, we will do that. And I think that's fantastic because how many jobs have now been outsourced overseas for factory work, for manufacturing, for labor? How many? We have lost so many jobs to China, to India, to Indonesia, to all these different places where it's so much cheaper for businesses to operate, and they do. And then the workers are treated horribly. You hear horror stories about what goes on in the Apple factories. There's a lot of really scary stuff that you hear about this. So I'm really happy that they're trying to get businesses back here in the United States because we desperately need jobs, especially with the unemployment issues. We very, very much need jobs and we very much need help. And hopefully that will be coming. I hope that is coming right around the corner and down the pipeline. I mean, obviously, we have to wait and see what happens. I hate saying that, but it's constantly wait and see. But that's where we're at. We have to wait and see. But, we need that. We need that. And I support that. I know, and I tell you, I try to be as bipartisan as possible. I try not to be biased as much as I can, but the more I look at it, the more I like a lot of Trump's policies. Not all of them, but it seems like his policies are actually getting things back on track. The things that kind of bother me right now are the fact that it seems like he and his administration keep saying the economy is doing great and their numbers are based off the stock market, but most of us aren't playing the stock market. That's for the people at the top or the people who have learned that skill and know how to do it. Funny enough, I actually this past year, 2019, I had a business partner and we did some trading. We traded currencies and we did really, really well. But I'll tell you right now, the markets themselves are highly manipulated. It's a crazy situation. So I do very much disagree with the Trump administration that, everything's so great because the markets are so great, because I don't think that's an indicator at all of how middle America is really doing. But this is a wait and see situation. And where are we going with stimulus? What's my prediction at this point? I hate to say this. I hate to tell you guys this because you guys know I want to be the bearer of good, positive news. However, I also don't want to pump you full of crap, and I don't just want to give blind hope. I don't personally foresee anything happening until after the election. And the reason is I don't think the Democrats will allow it. I think they have just been doing a stick and a carrot in front of Trump. We're going to get it done. And they did that so Trump wouldn't try to turn around and make an executive order for stimulus checks, because they don't want to do anything that would look like they're giving him a win before the election, because the Democrats are just obsessed about getting him out of office. Not just the Democrats, a lot of Republicans too. There are reports Republicans are turning on him. It's getting weird. And I am growing more and more concerned about what's going to happen with this election and what's going to happen with the country after the election, with stimulus and with the financial state people are in, and with the state of manipulation both sides and everybody is in. With social media, I feel like creating this frenzy of wanting to create some type of civil war that none of us want. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But considering the amped up issues and violence we have seen with places like Antifa, with with BLM, with the other sides, right? We have the other sides too. I get concerned. I definitely 1,000% get concerned on what is going on. And on the one hand, I can understand why people would want to get violent. I get it. And this is another thing people don't understand. People seem to think that a lot of people seem to be under this disillusion that it's certain minority groups that are more prone to violence, which is to me highly, I want to say the right words because YouTube will get upset with me. That's a horrible thing to think about a group. I don't think it has anything to do with groups of people. That's just an evil assertion, in my opinion. I think it has to do, sorry, I'm having itches on my face. So I keep scratching my face. But this is a really serious thing, so I want to make sure I'm coming to you serious because I do think that's an evil assertion that certain minority groups of people are just more prone to this. Why this happens is because of financial hardship. That's why this happens. It's not because of certain groups. It's that the groups have been put in positions to be in situations where they can't get ahead and they are downtrodden, that this type of thing happens. However, we also have the side of this that is social media, and social media is just bombarding both sides of the spectrum with so much information. And on both sides, we can't ever really verify what's true because so much information is flying at us all the time. This is why I talk about the social experiment. If you haven't seen it, go look at it. I will be doing a comprehensive video about it at some point. It's a very scary landscape and a very scary situation that is happening, and I'm just really praying for everybody. So we will have to wait and see what happens. I just pray for everybody's safety, and I will continue to give you updates. I hope I'm wrong. I'm saying I'm worried. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I think a lot of this, I don't think what I'm saying is far out of the realm of possibility. I think a lot of us at this point are seeing the signs and the writing on the wall, and we are concerned, right? And we have every right to be concerned, obviously. So, I hope I'm wrong. This is not one of those things I want to be right on just because I'm concerned. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think it could go in that direction. I also hope we get stimulus before then. I think people knowing they're getting stimulus help may curb some of that happening. But then you have to look, do both parties actually want that happening, or do both parties on some level want to create issues within the country? Because a lot of times when they do, they find ways to profit off of it, and they find ways to continue to control us. Because remember, when we are so busy fighting one another, we can't see what's really going on and the people that we really need to go up against. And that is not me saying that I am calling for any negativity to anybody, because I am not whatsoever. In fact, I'm one of those people, even the evil people at the top, I send them, to an extent. I have love and compassion in the sense of I wish and I pray for positive transformation. We know, though, as adults, that's rose-colored glasses thinking. That doesn't always happen. And that's not always how people can be treated, because many of these people don't actually want that themselves. And they will do everything they can not to do that and continue to hurt people in the process. So you hold them accountable, but you wish the best. And that's kind of how I like to look at things. So I don't know if this is going to happen before the election, and I'm just getting more and more increasingly concerned. Let me know if you guys feel the same way, or maybe I'm off. Maybe I don't think so, though. I've been around enough crap situations and awful people and gaslighters and manipulators that I can kind of pick up on things, and I just see it from both sides, y'all. And I know it's not like that's news. I know you guys see it too, obviously, but it is cause for concern in my opinion. Yeah, and I think I'll go ahead and leave that here. Okay, guys, if you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up, like the video, subscribe. Hit notifications if you've subscribed already so you can be notified what's coming out of the pipeline for you and your stimulus money. Leave a comment, leave as many as you can. Sound off, I want to hear everything. And guys, please share this content with as many people as you know who are struggling right now. People who are on unemployment, waiting for unemployment, waiting for stimulus checks, SBA, loan and grant issues, bill issues, everything in between. I've got tons of tools and tons of resources to help you during this very difficult time, and I would love the opportunity to do just that. And guys, the more you like, subscribe, comment, hit notifications, share the content, the more my channel grows. The more my channel grows, the more things I can do to give back to you guys, like our $100 gift card giveaway. Like I said, here are the instructions and I'll go further into it. All you have to do, like your video, subscribe, hit notifications, comment, share the content. Boom, that's it. You're eligible. That's all you have to do. New rule, the more comments and shares you make, the more you do that, the more videos you like, comment on, and share, The more you do that, the more chances you have to win, the more you are eligible. So make sure and like these videos up, comment, and do everything you can to help me continue to grow this channel, and I so appreciate it. Now, how I'm doing it right now, because I am broke as a joke, as many of y'all know, this is how I'm working this situation at the moment. I'm going to pick a winner, either 1 to 2 winners a week. This week it's going to be 2, since last week, before I had to take off all of that time, I said I was going to announce winners. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that over. There will be 2 winners this week, and I will announce those winners on Monday for all of these videos. If you guys can help me grow this channel, we can go back to doing a card a day in each video. I would love to do that, but I just can't right now. So anything you do helps me, and then I can continue to give back to you guys. Okay, guys, lots of love. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for all your support. I'm continuing to be humbled every time I end these videos, because I would not be in the position I am right now without you guys. You guys have given me my life back, my confidence back, and you've helped me fight for what's right in my life. And I am so grateful to each and every one of you. So thank you so much. Lots of love. Until next time, we're going to keep talking about stimulus. I'm going to keep showing you what is coming on the pipeline. I'm going to show you, I'm going to be real. As I say, I'm an optimistic, idealistic realist. I'm going to show you the reality of what is, but the positive paths forward and what's most likely to happen, and where we can get to where we need to be, and find the loopholes to help you guys directly. Okay, guys, lots of love. I will see you soon. Take care. Blessings. Goodbye.